Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back with another brand new video and it almost feels like a throwback video as there's frustration, disappointment, annoyance, but I'll try and bottle it enough to actually formulate an actual video here because there is so much to discuss as the two best teams in this country mate at the brightest stage, the biggest lights of a cup final. Now, was it a spectacle of football? No, it really wasn't, if I'm honest. I don't think the two teams played to the best of their abilities. I don't think it was the best showcase of what both teams are actually capable of. But it was a battle. It was a fight. You know, it's an old firm, ladies and gentlemen. And what's the one thing you need to do if you want to win an old firm? Is win the midfield battle. And one manager set his team out to do that. And the other manager, in my personal opinion, got it completely wrong and handcuffed himself because he was playing favourites. And that is frustrating, ladies and gentlemen, because you saw me yesterday. I was confident. I was Nicholas Raskin this, Raskin that. Who's going to partner Raskin? I believe that was a big part of yesterday's video. Was it going to be Kamara? Was it going to be Jack? Was it going to be Lundstrom? Not one single cell in the Nasher people believed for a split second that we would drop Raskin out the starting 11. But we did. In the biggest game of the season, we dropped the midfielder we signed in January to upgrade the midfield and dropped him out from one of the players that we actually brought Raskin in to upgrade on. Does this make any sense to anyone else? Because genuinely, I can't get at it. Now, if you haven't seen this channel or that before and you think I'm just going to go down this sort of rabbit hole, that's going to be it and there's going to be excuses. I will talk about the entire game, the good, the bad and the ugly, because again, in my personal opinion, Beale did get it all wrong tonight, and I think he has to hold his hands up in saying that, but at the same time, Celtic had to go out there and actually win the battle, and for the large majority of the game they did, and I will speak about that, but I need to pull it back to this midfield discussion right away, people, because it is blowing my mind, and what's mental is, and this isn't a revisional history or looking back and commenting on it or anything like that, if we're all honest with each other, when we saw the starting 11, whether you're at the pub, your pals, your dads at the game, watching it for across the world, we all sat and said the same thing. What we doing in the middle of the park? That instantly made us nervous because not only did we do the Palzak and bring in like Alexei Glenn Kamara and partner on with John Lundstrom, but we played John Lundstrom and Kamara over Raskin. Lundstrom's barely trained in the last 3 weeks. He's been out injured and we plop him right in for a cup final. Again, I can understand partner him with a Raskin or something like that, or partnering Raskin with Kamara or partnering Raskin with Jack. But you didn't drop the midfielder you brought in to win these types of games. For the boys, if we're honest, has showed they can't do that consistently. Now, of course, the players shoulder responsibility as well, because when the whistle goes, it's on them 1v1 to beat their opposite, and the large majority didn't do that this afternoon. And again, we will speak about that, but it's just frustrating to me to see us handcuffing ourselves going in to a cup final in this way that genuinely blows my mind. Now, to be fair to Michael Beale, he did say before the game the reason he's went with that starting 11 is because it worked away at Tynecastle with one of the best performances under his reign, and also, of course, that was the exact same starting 11 that played and should have won at Ibrox versus Celtic. I get that, but again, Lundstrom and Tillman, two of the three midfield, has been injured and have barely trained the last 12-14 days. To drop two guys returning from injury into a three-man midfield versus Celtic at Hampden, in a cup final is definitely up against the odds, and I just felt like it was unnecessary. So I just wanted to voice my opinion on it. I absolutely hated it. I knew it as soon as I seen it. I didn't like it, and for me, my biggest disappointment isn't the fact he's went ahead and done that, believe it or not, with everything I've said. It's the fact that he didn't change it when it was evident and it was obvious to everyone on the human earth that's watching this game of football that it wasn't actually working out. It should have been changed at half time, but we sat on our hands. Beale, for the first time as Rangers manager, sat wrong, staring at something that wasn't working, never changed it until we went 2-0 down. That's the real first time in Michael Beale's reign as Rangers manager, in my opinion, that he's got something badly wrong. Argument could be made as well for the substitutions he brought on versus Celtic at Ibrox. I just remembered that actually he's probably got it wrong in two of the biggest games, but I'm not going to sit here and start turning on Beale or anything. I know there's a job to be done, etc, but I can't really say, like, oh, he has to wait to get his own players in. He got his own players in. He never started either one of them. You know what I mean? We signed two players in January for the starting 11. Neither started in the biggest game. Why? I feel like I'm probably getting a bit sidetracked here because there is a lot of football to actually break down and discuss, but I just wanted to voice my opinion on it. Bitterly disappointed with the Rangers manager in this game, who in my opinion got it wrong before a ball was even kicked. But let's talk about when the ball was actually getting kicked around then, shall we? Because the opening 10 minutes of the game, I think if you asked any set of fans, it was very cagey and very nervy. There wasn't much football actually played. A lot of long balls from Celtic down to the channels trying to make things happen, and a lot of long balls to Alfredo Morelos, who was just getting walked about like a caravan by Carter Vickers. It's frustrating watching that, people, because you watch the likes of Kyogo and everything, he's always moving from left to right and left and right. Once he's spinning behind the defenders, having to constantly keep an eye on him, it must be the easiest job in the world to sit there and mark Morelos, because he stands like that and that's it. He brings so much strength and everything to the game. I get all that, people, but in a game of this magnitude, when you do have 50, 60 yards behind you because you're against a team that's parking the bus, so you're just standing at the box, it's absolutely infuriating to watch a defender just go, oh, I'll just take it off you, and he just sits and does the same thing. Frustrating, people, and the overall why we went about our business was definitely something that frustrated me, because after a cagey 10 minutes, I'd say for the 10th minute to about the 22nd, 23rd, or maybe even the 25th, if you will, Celtic started to show they were here to play football, and they were starting to beat the press for Rangers. Now, I'm doing press here, Rangers, because see, when you've got Sakala pressing, Tillman pressing, Kent pressing, and then your centre forward standing watching it, allowing McGregor to drop into that space and get the pass every single time, and then when McGregor did get the pass, just jogging behind them and everything, that's no putting the press on. It was easy for Celtic, and I think just building their way up for that and just springing those passes about calmed them down after a nervy 5 or 10 opening minutes, and they started to look the better of the two sides. And that ends up bringing the first two chances for either side. One of them was when Tillman just took Johnson for a walk down the left hand side, cut it back to Lundstrom, who should do a lot better here because Johar isn't in the goal, but it ends up getting blocked, and then Hatate does what Hatate does, just spins his man, just runs away from Lundstrom and Kamara. I mean, his job was made easy this afternoon, but he's a very, very talented player. He drops one right on a dime to Kyogo, who again spun his defender and ran in behind. Crazy concept, can't believe it actually works in the modern day, just standing there like that wanting free kicks all the time. But Kyogo ends up spinning in behind the defence, brings the ball down and forces McGregor into a very good save, because that could easily be a penalty kick there, but he gets his hand on it, and then Rangers for some reason just give the ball right away. The two Chuckle brothers, Kamara and Lundstrom's like running into each other and everything like that. The ball eventually drops to Jota outside the box. He tries to curl it with the left foot, and it's another very good save for Alan McGregor, who again I've voiced my frustration in a lot over the last 12 to 16 months, but I'll tell you something right now, he was big in this game. There's players in there that never turned up for the cup final, but that laddie did right there, so I'll hold my hands up and say he kept us in this game, not only with that save, but what he also went on to do the rest of the actual game. But it was weird, that major opportunity seemed to wake Rangers up at least, or the double opportunity I should say for Celtic, because after handing the reins over to Celtic where they were dominant, the next 5 or so minutes was Rangers' time to shine, as Ryan Kent does very well in the middle. He combines well with Tillman, he passes it out to the right hand side to Tavernier. Tavernier hits on a wonderful cross, and Ken, what's annoying right here, people, right? I want you to remember this moment here, because what happens is Sakala beats Starfelt, who again is the major weak link in my opinion, but Carter Vickers again is in the right place at the right time with a phenomenal slide challenge to stop Sakala probably getting a tap in, but considering what happens later on in the game, maybe it wasn't actually scoring it. But that was important there to mention, because what we saw was us having people forward but having only one person in the box. Our centre forward Morelos is standing next to Moy. I'm going to jump a wee bit now to about 30-40 minutes later, because we want to talk about that, because that's the difference in the game. See that lack of desire and that maybe laziness or that flat-footedness, or I'll just wait for somebody else to do it, doesn't exist in the Celtic squad. You watch them, when they get the ball wide, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5 people all sprinting in the attack areas into the actual box. We just didn't do it. People, evidence is there. Tavernier's put one right on the 6-yard line. There is one player in the entire Celtic box in a cup final. There is 4 people standing outside the box actually watching it. Skip to about the 40th minute, where again Celtic were really in control of the game right here. I'd say they were creating some chances. Yes, we had corners here or there, but was anybody there? No, we were putting them bang on the money. Both Barisic and Tavernier was dropping them in the 6-yard box, but nobody was gambling. Nobody was there. We go to the 40th minute. Kyogo should score here as the ball goes out. I believe it's actually Jota here that I think crosses in. It's a header. I think it ends up kissing him at the side of the head and going over the bar. And I've went, by God, we've got away with that. And then what happens 60 seconds later? We end up getting punished in the most infuriating way, because it's very similar build up to the chance we just spoke about with Carter Vickers stopping Sakala. But what actually happens here is they get it down the line. Yes, it's a little bit lucky because I believe Maeda swings and misses it and it ends up falling into the path of Kyogo, but that's a tap in 6 yards out, people, right? If you look at the actual attack, they've got Maeda attacking the front post, they've got Jota attacking the back post, and they've got Kyogo sprinting in to the middle of the actual park. That's getting in to the areas. That's pulling defenders, because again, Davies is over the shop, Goldton something to mark somebody else, over the shop, Barisic has to mark someone, and then someone's got a tap in. Can you imagine that chance that Tavernier created about the 20th minute of this game if Morelos had actually sprinted into the box and Carter Vickers couldn't just go, oh, that ball's gone to Sakala, I'll go out here. If Carter Vickers has actually got to mark Morelos busting a gut to get to the back post, Sakala's got an opportunity to get a tap in. But it's just laziness, it's frustrating, it's just standing and watching. It drives me mental. But again, it proves the difference between the two sides as Celtic take the lead, because they have people sprinting and gambling to get into the box. And as we went into half time, there was laziness really on my mind. Listen, it wasn't the best game for Malik Tillman, and again, I've talked to this lad a hell of a lot up. He wasn't his best day, but if you actually watch him, he's having to do more tackling, more tracking back than both Lundstrom and Kamara. They two are supposed to give this laddie the platform to go ahead and create and get actual forward. Both of them were complete passengers in this game in a cup final, and both of them shouldn't have even made it to half time. Never mind come back out the tunnel and play in the second half. And this is where again the frustration for Michael Beale really kicks in, because he's gambled, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get the magic touch, sometimes that feeling you get ends up working out, but it's quite clear to everybody that it's not working out, because Hatate is feasting on John Lundstrom and Glenn Kamara's lackey anticipation, instinct, and actually getting in and tackling. And Callum McGregor didn't think got a glove laid on him all afternoon, as he was able just to pick the passes and just orchestrate the entire game, as we had the two Chuckle brothers again completely off the boil. We were screaming for changes at half time, but Beale sat on his hands and decided to give them an opportunity to try and set it right. And they never, people. But to be fair, obviously the second half did start with Rangers more on the front foot, where we end up creating the best opportunity so far for Rangers as Malik Tillman turns Hatate beautifully, runs 60-70 yards with the fit ball, slips in Ryan Kent down the left hand side. Kent hits it with the left foot. It looks like it's in, ends up kissing the post. It falls to Sakala, who, yes, is a little bit wide here, but then hit it this way. Didn't he hit it that way? I couldn't believe Sakala misses this tap in, and Morelos couldn't believe he never got the tap in either, by the way. But we know his record with missing tap ins versus Celtic. It's not exactly great when you see the two of them with a shot a yard or two. You're not confident in either one of them. But aye, what an opportunity that was for a rocky start to bring us back to 1-1 just 3-4 minutes into the second half. But aye, we blew it. And Sakala, who'd done a hell of a lot of talking before the game, has learned the tale as old as time. People, if you talk the talk, you better walk the walk. No done that at all this game. Maybe next time, keep the old mouth shut, son, if you're going to go and drop a goose egg quite like that. Especially against Taylor, who again, I might be speaking for bias or that here, he was trying his best to give Rangers the lead in this game. He must have been remembering he spent the majority of his life at Ibrox cheering on Rangers, because he just kept giving us the ball, kept letting Sakala beat him. He was dreadful for large parts of that game, apart obviously from the cross that he put in. But Sakala just never once really fancied taking him on enough, in my opinion. So aye, bitterly disappointed with not only the miss, but just his overall game. Where's his directness? You've seen Tavernier going off his nut. I'm asking him to spin in behind constantly. Again, standing like Morelos with everything in front of him. It's just infuriating to watch us not move this Celtic backline at all enough, especially when on paper we have the players. So the big chance goes begging for Rangers to get back in it, and when you didn't take your chances, you usually get punished, especially against an attacking outfit like Celtic, because offensively, they're never ever going away, people. We've talked about it. They are the best attacking side in this league by a country distance, and they show that again. Why? They've actually got people getting into the box. In the middle of the park, again, they were just winning that battle so easy. Until the 65th minute of this game, it was almost embarrassing to watch the Rangers midfield try to get near Celtic, because Hatate was just spinning them constantly. It was just so easy for them. It was infuriating to watch as an actual Rangers fan. But again, we know that changes, and I'll get to that in a minute or two. But let's talk about the 54th and the 56th minute, because just like in half-time, just before half-time, when they scored, they had a chance, and then 2 minutes later they put the ball into the back of net. Well, it's an absolute carbon copy, people, as Davis does sensational defending in the 54th minute, but instead of getting on the ball after Davis does defend it, we end up just losing it. I think Kamara ends up giving it away this time or something like that, and eventually 90 seconds later Celtic's got the ball. Moy just picks a beautiful pass down to Hatate, I believe, who cuts it back. That's right, Rangers actually passing it for tap-ins and everything like that. That's a crazy concept, to not put yourselves first in those situations, that they actually pass the ball. And Kyogo again has the easiest job in football. Tap the ball in when nobody near him. Well, to be fair, Barisic was close to him, but in terms of goalie or anything like that, he's just got an easy tap in. And people can say, oh, he's lucky, or it's just felt to him. No, that's a striker's instinct, people. That's what a number 9 is supposed to bring you. When you put the ball in the 6-yard box, that's where your number 9 should actually be. Where's our number 9? Outside the box, watching things unfold. It's infuriating to watch, but again, he gets his luck that his run and effort actually deserves. Frustrating, but we're now 2-0 down, and at that point I was just like, we're going to make the midfield changes now. I bet you we make them now. And then you see Beale. Oh, it's not working now. Both the Chuckle brothers are on yellow cards. Let's bring on the actual midfielders. And as he's getting them to go, I think it's Jacko, it is Cantwell, and it's, of course, Nicholas Raskin just about to come on. Kent gets down the left-hand side, passes it to Barisic. He tries to whip in across Johnson, just a wee bit silly, naive with his hands. Tavernier whips in a great free kick that's dreadfully defended if you're a Celtic fan. Again, looking at Joe Hart. It's got to be Joe Hart's that, surely. But again, he's bogging people. He really is. It drops to Alfredo Morelos, who gets the time to chest it down and volley in to the back of the net. That's how badly it was defended. But again, Morelos strong at that point to put the ball away. And during his celebration, I was a wee bit embarrassed with his celebrations. Obviously, I was celebrating and dancing and loving life and that. But see, when you're like a Rangers player, I feel like should be picking the box saying, right, let's get it. He's wanting to celebrate. No, we're going to beat 2-1. Get the ball and get back. Let us do the celebrating. We're the daft fans. Let us enjoy the moment. You get the ball back up. But maybe that's what the problem in the actual squad. There's too many people excited and want to celebrate individual accolades instead of team accolades. Maybe that's the actual issue. It might just be, people, because that's what I'm seeing on the park. When the big moments are there, there's no a sweat for a tap in or anything. There's hits, there's shots, they're wanting individual moments. But that moment ends up bringing us back into the game, at least in terms of the scoreline. And then the substitutions happen. Raskin, Jacko, Cantwell, all come on. And then you actually see a midfield, people. Then you see Raskin winning the ball, and then the game's completely changed, because Celtic are no longer just loitering in the middle of the park where it's such an easy job, because Lundstrom's so far off it, he's back and playing for Sheffield United, and Kamara looks every bit of a 50k player in this actual game. Jacko's winning more tackles in the space of 6 minutes than both of them two did for 65. It's an old firm game, ladies and gentlemen. It's a cup final. Shouldn't it be happening? And Raskin, again, him and Jacko just win the midfield battle. Then it was the Rangers show. Then they were dominating. Then we were getting the ball. Then Celtic was panicking. Then Celtic were making mistakes. And then Starfelt just started kicking balls to us constantly and falling over and stuff. It was weird, but that's the player he is. Again, Carter Vickers is their defence. I think their goalie's rotten, and I didn't really rate Starfelt. I feel like he's constantly got a mistake. Where would they be without Carter Vickers? I'd like to live in that universe, if I'm honest, but he done well enough to marshal it and just get the ball away whenever he needed to be the right place at the right time. And we just never really got the rub of the green in the actual game. Yankee Cantwell does really well to spin his man right away after Greg Taylor just like kicks the ball to us. Thank you, we'll take that. We win a free kick, ends up being well defended. Again, Carter Vickers gets his head up there on the wall, although It probably should have been Barisic taking this because it was a left footer, but whatever. Another nearly and another moment where again the luck just didn't fall our ways when Barisic wins a 50-50 and Jacko just runs and beats a couple of their midfielders, just showing a bit of anticipation. He cuts inside, has a shot blocked. It looks like it's fallen to Tavernier, but it's very good defending as well. I can't remember who was there for the slide challenge, but again it just bounced that way. That gave the defender the chance rather than bouncing that way to allow Tavernier to slap it in to the back of net. These Robbie the Greens can be real infuriating, and that showed again as we continue to pile pressure. Raskin winning the ball back, Jacko winning the ball back, piling them in, putting crosses in. There's one where Raskin does a nice little combination play with Cantwell, ends up hitting off Raskin. It goes in between Cholak's leg, which I will give him a little bit of leeway here because again he's very close to it, but then the ball skids right to Barisic, people, about 5 yards there. He's all on his own. He's going to take a touch there, and then he's in 1v1 versus Joe Hart, but he takes his eye off it and it goes under his foot. Luck, Sayre, somebody being mince. I don't ken, people, but aye, it just wasn't falling our way in our brightest spell, which again was 20 minutes from when they came on to about the 85th minute of this game, and we actually had the midfield players on that should have started the game and everything like that. It started to just needle away as I think maybe the nerves, maybe the heats went, because again everything was just bouncing off us and falling away or anything like that. And Celtic done what they had today, getting in the corner, frustrating Rangers, making them give silly fouls with yellow cards. The game was done at that point and Celtic definitely saw it out. But if you're talking about chances in the last 5 minutes, Celtic were in. I guess if you watch basketball, you call these garbage time minutes or something, or garbage time points or something they call it. When the game's sort of done and the team's sort of piling everything, then you start getting baskets and everything like that. They kind of call it that over there. Well, it was kind of like that because Rangers were piling everybody forward. They literally had one at the back and Celtic had two major opportunities to put the game away. One with O'Reilly, tries to send McGregor the wrong way, but McGregor, phenomenal save yet again, and he also makes a very good save versus the number 9. I can't remember, I can't pronounce his name, sorry, I do apologise about that, but it's another good save. And then the same number 9 runs through on goal in the very last seconds of the game and rolls it actually wide. So aye, we could have ended up getting beat even worse than that, but again, those last couple chances were in garbage time minutes where Rangers had 9-10 people all in the actual Celtic boat trying to make the game 2-2. And aye, that's it. You could probably tell there's a lot of frustration. There wasn't too much quality football between both sides, but again, Celtic's willingness to get forward, unselfishness in attacking areas, and maybe the team mentality that I think they've actually well and truly got installed from the manager Ange Postecoglou got them over the line, where us will sit back and look at the chances, look at the opportunities we had. People will sit there and say, I should have done more in the game. I don't think many Celtic players will say, I should have done more. But I can tell you something right now, there'll be people in that Rangers shirt that played the night, they'll say, I should have done that, I should have done that. And that's the difference, is you can't have that in a cup final, and Celtic end up deservedly winning the game. If you look at the large majority, they created the best chances, they had control of the game, they were much more composed in the game. We had our best spell when we actually had the midfielders on that should have been playing, but you make those decisions, you live and die by those decisions. And again, Beale has got it all wrong in this game with the way he set up and dropped our best midfielder, who again was brought in to upgrade the midfield, and started somebody who was there to be upgraded over the actual upgrade. Even saying it out loud sounds mental, people, but we done that in the brightest lights. Yeah, cup final. Syrian definitely feels like one got away with us, but yeah, Celtic wins the actual cup. That's the game recap. What's your thoughts and opinions on this game? Do you see it like me? Maybe Beale got it wrong for the setup, and there just wasn't enough battling and fight in the middle of the park. There wasn't enough energy and drive for a certain couple of individuals, the likes of Morelos. Yes, he scored the goal and he's all happy and he's bouncing and he's taking photos. And I don't care, but that's empty to me. Unless we win the game, that's what matters to me. So I think a couple of them need to look at themselves and give themselves a major shake, in my personal opinion. And I didn't want to see a Rangers midfield without Raskin in there an actual game, but I feel like I'm repeating myself now. I'm knackered, I'm Sayre, my head's done, and aye, game recap's finished. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Sage over 92. Win, lose or draw, can we start getting more wins? By the way, I'll always be here. Until next time, thank you and bye bye.